All right, welcome back to the Project K podcast. We got episode 2, and honestly, I don't know how to introduce you because you're an MC yourself, and you kind of introduce yourself a lot better, than anyone else. Cause for anyone who doesn't know who you are, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I am your uncle, Dirty Mike, local scoundrel, MC, artist, promoter, and delinquent.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was thinking about it before, and I'm like, I honestly don't think I'd be doing you any justice if I try to introduce you.
I don't know how much justice I do, but I definitely got my few key points. I was born very young. Yeah. I was a baby when I was born, so that's the key thing. I'm a sensitive soul. Tawa local. Nice. There we go. Those are the key points.
And you're a rapper. You're MC. How long have you been doing this kind of stuff?
I've been rapping since 2011. So that's when I made my first track, which wasn't really seriously having a go at it and stuff. And been running shows and promoting and MCing for 4 years now. Yeah. But used to host karaoke nights for a job and stuff like that too. Nice. So a bit of moonlighting.
And have you always wanted to do that kind of stuff?
I've always been like an attention whore. So I always knew I wanted to do entertainment of some capacity. Yeah. And I just had to find which lane that was in. And rap was just the way, for the things I needed to say and the things I wanted to put into music, rap was the genre that makes sense for that.
Yeah, sure. And have you always been like a bit of a showman?
Yeah.
Even when you were younger?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like I went to 8 different primary schools, so I was always the new kid. Yeah. So I always had to make myself known straight away, and I was always class clown, hyper show off. But yeah, no, definitely was always that guy.
Yeah, it's definitely one way to stand out when you're a class clown, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So what kind of music did you enjoy listening to growing up?
Yeah, it's quite funny because I'm so rap orientated, but I don't listen to much of it, and that's not my music inspirations and stuff. Me growing up, Bee Gees, Boney M, Prince, Michael Jackson, Johnny Cash, Gene Pitney, old stuff like that, and obviously a few rappers here and there too, but. Yeah, that's primarily the type of stylings that I'd listen to.
Yeah, so you enjoyed kind of like a wide variety of genres.
Yeah, definitely. Like, a lot of the music I like is other people's guilty pleasures, like ABBA, and things like that. But I'll proudly be like, let's go.
No, I understand that. There's definitely nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. I've got like a guilty pleasures kind of playlist on Spotify, and it's like strictly songs that only I would listen to by myself, and I'd never share it with you.
I was about to say, tell us what's on it.
Yeah. So growing up, did you have any influences as well? Like, I know you said you listened to a wide variety of music, and a lot of old great musicians as well. Did they kind of influence the music that you make today, or kind of just
a little bit? Like, I like to sample music and take what I like and mix it into what I make. Yeah. They more influence the whole creating a persona and an identity and a character as a performer. Yeah. That's more so where the influence came from rather than strictly as a musical standpoint. But one of my most recent songs I put out sampled ABBA, and another one sampled Blondie's Heart of Glass, and I do like to influence. That's right. Yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely like those samples. It's like, it kind of, for me personally, when I listen to it, it kind of just it's almost like a double take. Like, I'm like, wait, is that because I'm just trying to think about what sample that you're using, and then it you just layer your own kind of rapping over it, and it really goes together.
Yeah, and it's just finding a way to include the music that I love listening to and making it relevant to the music I'm making. Yeah. And sort of crossing those worlds,
All right, so let's get into what we what we do, what we try to achieve in the music scene in Wellington. You put on quite a lot of shows. Like I see you putting on a lot of shows at Valhalla, or even, is it the Hivers Jams? Are they out in the Hut as well?
Stokes Valley. Yeah.
And so have you just wanted to like push that Wellington scene like quite hard?
Honestly, initially like I told you, I've been making music for 12 years. But I had been making it for 8 years before I'd even got a chance to perform live. And for me, I was like, I can either get upset about like not getting discovered and not getting put on gigs or lineups, or I can go and create that opportunity and run the whole gig just to put myself on a lineup and create the activity in the scene so I can be a part of it, like sort of creating the opportunities rather than waiting for them. But once that started, I realized I love being able to give other artists that opportunity that I was craving and someone to give them a chance and get them on the stage. And now it's just become my way of staying active, of giving other people opportunities and creating a real vibration in the scene, so that just motivates more people to run their own gigs and keep more activity going, which makes everyone thrive.
No, I definitely like that, because it's especially coming from like a small city like Wellington. It's like you really do have to make your own like opportunities. No, you just can't really sit back and wait for something to happen, because if you do that, you're going to be waiting forever. And just getting sad about it too. Honestly. And so I think that's what's helped with like independent artists in Wellington and New Zealand as well, is like, because everyone's got to do it for themselves. They're kind of like teaching themselves how to make their own music, teach themselves how to put on shows, like you said. And it's definitely the way to go.
I always wanted people to, like, I want to be like a proof to people that we as the artists can run the shows. We don't necessarily need to have sponsors or all these backers. Like, we can run the shows from the artists. The money is for the artists, it's for the people. And sometimes it becomes a bit commercial when you're trying to get brands and sponsors involved, and it loses that like ruggedness to me that I think is a bit independent.
Definitely. Because I also wanted to ask about all the shows that you put on. Like, let's talk about the first one you put on.
Sure.
Like, where was it? How did it start? Like, did you run it all yourself? As well.
So the first gig I ran was called Dirty Mike's Rap Night, and it was late 2018 at Valhalla. It was a lineup of about 5 artists. And it was like, for me, it was that, that breaking point of like me and my friend MJ, who's done music with me the whole time. We wanted to perform. We were looking at open mics. We were looking at any situations, but we didn't know, we weren't in the circles. We didn't know anyone to get on a gig. And it was just like, well, I know I'm going to make a gig. I put a post out on Vic Deals looking for rappers, made a lineup, made a poster, booked the date, and just learnt how to run gigs better from running gigs. But that's where it started, was Rap Night 1.
And how much, you can not say it, or say it if you want, but how much money did you put into that first show? Like, what were you working with?
I put in $250 venue hire, had to pay a sound guy and someone on the door. So luckily I'm a graphic designer, so all the marketing costs and stuff like that for free, I did it myself. I emceed it, I hosted it, so that's another cost down. I probably spent all up about $300, $400.
And you're not getting anything back from this.
No.
You're just putting your name out there and giving people a platform to
So when I run my shows, I cover all of the costs from my own personal money. I manage and work at a dog kennels, and I run my own website business. I cover all the costs, and then the profits are split evenly between the artists that are on the shows. I'm yet to take $1. So I had the option with one gig to take $3 that was left after paying everyone. And I just said to someone, go get yourself a soda.
No, it's definitely that kind of stuff and that kind of thinking is really a testament to who you are as a person. And I think a lot of the artists who you bring onto these events, they see that intention, because like something I learned from this whole process is, you know, if you go in with the right intentions, if people can see your, you know, like what you're about, and they can see what you're trying to achieve, they'll they'll gravitate towards that. And I think that's a really important thing nowadays is, you know, you just gotta, I think you just have to, you know, have the right intentions going into doing shows, like even not taking $1 for yourself.
That's right. If it does come, it comes later on down the line, but I've always believed that if you're doing anything with money being the expectation, it won't come. If you're doing it because you enjoy it and because you love it, then people will pick up on that, and then just naturally money might come from it. I hope the artists and stuff do see that, and that has been, you know, an intention. But for me, I want to make sure that these guys know there is no show without the artists, and I want them to be happy to work with me in the future, so they know that I will go to war for them and make sure they're looked after, to do their part on it. And it's an appreciation thing as well.
Yeah, I definitely see that in Wellington now. Like, you know, everyone, well, a lot of the people that I've come across, they're really all about, you know, just kind of like trying to bring that Wellington scene up, like bring everyone
Good.
up.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope it's like that, because that's the best way. Is like the more activity, then the more opportunities there are.
Yeah.
And if there's more people producing, if there's more people recording, if there's more people running events, then that's just more opportunities for everyone else in their own separate corners of the scene.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Wellington, I believe it's trying to rival Auckland in a certain sense. Like, there are a lot of big artists coming up in Wellington, and I think people around the country are starting to notice, well, those that actually pay attention to what else is going on around them. Because like I feel like you're not, like, you're in the, like, other people are in the same boat as you in terms of like they focus on what's going on in their city first. Whereas, you know, there will be some people that will take note about where else.
And they definitely should, because, you know, it's worth paying attention to. Wellington's a cesspit of talent, and if you don't keep an eye on it, it's going to come and flank you from the side out of nowhere, and it's just going to take over. Rivals Auckland, dominates Auckland. It's just no one's noticed yet.
Well, you heard it here first.
That's right, Auckland. Get a team together. We'll get a team together. Let's have a Auckland versus Wellington sort of gig. We'll get our finest MCs, and we'll meet in Palmy.
Neutral spot in Palmy.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe Wanganui, I don't know.
But no, like, you know, just from what you said earlier as well, like, having you go up to Auckland and perform at a show up there, was that an Auckland run thing, or was that like a Wellington kind of going up there?
No, it was an Auckland run thing. It was JP, the same one who ran the come up show that you were at, where we spoke the other weekend. It was primarily an Auckland gig, but there was a bunch of Wellington artists that were on it. So a little backstory was about a month beforehand, I told you about Rap Night 1. About a month before that Auckland show, I ran my Rap Night 5, which was a Grand Theft Auto themed poster, because it was like GTA 5, Rap Night 5 made it look like that. And JP, Skilo reached out to me and said, can this guy jump on the show? It was only 2 weeks out, and I made room for him on the show. And that's why I ended up being on that come up show, was as like you put me on your gig, I'll put you on mine type thing. And basically a lot of the artists that were on that Rap Night 5 are who he got on the come up show, because he networked while he was here for that show. It was primarily Auckland artists, and some Tauranga and stuff as well. There was only about 6 of us from Wellington.
How was that, like, going up there and performing in Auckland, and with, like, you know, like you said, there was only 6 people from Wellington, like, going up there with
it was great. I did it like the full on nomad style. Like everyone else flew up and stuff. Like, I've got a dirty little Fiat, and I chucked a bed in the back of it. I road tripped the whole way up. I slept in the back of my car about an hour outside of Auckland, and then woke up, went and got and showered up. Dills actually let me use his hotel room to go shower up. And then I jumped on. I did that all at my own expense. I refused money for the show. I performed for 10 minutes, so I drove 9 hours and then 9 hours back to do a 10-minute set, and I'd do it again anytime.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, you're only performing for a small amount of time, but you know, the fact that you drove all the way up to Auckland for that, it's quite amazing, really.
Yeah, I was the opener as well. I was first up, so you know, like I knew I wasn't even probably gonna have much of an audience to go. But like that's me. Anywhere I can be and give people a chance to hear what I've been creating in my little cave, then that's it. Yeah.
Honestly, like I always used to think that it wasn't until I went to all these like local gigs that I didn't realize that the sets, they're generally not as long as you think. Like you know, like you said, 10 minutes or even 15, 20. And it didn't actually occur to me. I'm just like, oh, yeah, because I always thought they would be like 45 minutes long, like an hour long.
100%. I mean, it's a tough one because like with like metal and rock and stuff like that, it usually is like 40 minutes or so like that. But that's because it's quite often multiple people. There's less lyrical content, like because rap you get a lot said in a short space of time. And like I've found, like I did my longest set I did was at the Cuba Duper a couple of weekends ago, and that was a 30-minute set. And I think if I went 45 minutes, I'd get sick of the sound of my own voice, man. I don't even want to hear my stuff for that long, you know. So it's quite good, and that's why hip hop's real beneficial, because you can stack lineups because they're short sets, and there's no setup time in between. It's just a DJ swapping in and out tracks, so you don't have to go and set up your pedals, your instruments, and all that stuff in between.
I would to ask, you've put on so many shows. Has there been a time where it's just royally gone wrong?
No, it hasn't. Because I'm very meticulous, right? And the reason, it's like I used to hear Mike Tyson say, the camp is difficult so that the fight night's easy. And that's me. I make sure that every little thing that could go wrong has been covered. And so, and like, even for example, when I run my sets, I leave room for error in between them in case, you know, things are going to go over and people are going to be behind. Like I leave about an hour's room for error on the whole lineup of the gig. The worst thing that has happened, and it was a learning curve, was when I ran a show called Fuck with the 04 with Dills and Dime at the time. We had, for a good reason, like almost every Wellington artist at that time jump on, and a couple of people's sets got cut short towards the end of the night because of people going over their set times and things like that. We'd planned the show a bit too crunchy. So that, you know, I still managed to work my magic with Ben at Valhalla and still managed to get like everyone to at least be able to do part of their set, but I felt like that was a disservice to the artists. So there was 2 artists that did have their sets cut short. That's the worst thing that's happened at a gig of mine.
Because I mean I went to a show. I actually went to Skip the Boat show that they had in Wellington, and the artists the main acts, their sets got cut short because it was at Club K, and so they had to open to the public for business, and so like they were still trying to sing and rap on stage when their mics got cut, when the lights came on. It was fucking terrible.
That's like, I literally have fever dreams about that, right? Like these are the nightmares I have, is like that I get an opportunity to do a mean performance and like mics are getting cut off, or the beats aren't working, or something out of my power is preventing it. Like that's my fear.
I feel like because it was the main acts though, it just makes it like worse, because these were guys that came all the way from the States to perform.
Okay.
I know it definitely was something that did not like mean to happen, you know, because like you said, artists, they tend to sometimes just go over their sets, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it was just a very unfortunate.
And then there's the encore as well and stuff like that. But you got to be courteous of the people that are coming up later on in the lineup. This is one reason why I still so far haven't dabbled in getting headliners on my shows. I run underground shows where I believe everyone's roughly at the same level. So no one's a headliner, no one's getting any extra. It's opening act to the end act in my mind are the same.
Equal opportunity.
Mine are showcases. So I've never done the whole headliner thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
For that reason too, I'm worried about, getting someone from somewhere and then being the big highlight of the thing, and then what if that's the one set that gets cut short? Ooh, yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. I also wanted to talk about your rap style as well, because honestly, I mean, I'm gonna say it, like, I actually didn't, for lack of better terms, I didn't fuck with your music at the start.
Yeah.
But the more I kept listening to it, I was like, damn, this is actually really good.
Yeah, and I think that's like me as a person and musically, is that like you have to understand me to understand my character or my music and stuff, and like through repetition or through like getting it, you realize the actual like, oh, he's not taking himself seriously with this. Like this is actually quite lighthearted and stuff, and like the things I'll do is I'll stand there on stage and rap about like smashing someone's jaw off and stuff. It's a very self-aware thing. I know I'm like 5 foot nothing and built like a wafer stick, but that's what's funny is because I'll say it and I'll believe it on stage, and then you will believe it too, but yeah, and that's the one thing too is there's no way that there will ever be a mold that suits everyone, and that's something I had to step away from, was thinking like too much about what other people would think. I knew that if I made what I wanted to hear and had fun making it, then that would actually, like, people would pick up on the vibe and the fun.
I've definitely found that with a lot of artists. Like, you really just have to, you really have to be your own biggest fan.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like, people will eventually feel that, and they'll kind of just feed off that energy that you give them. Yeah.
So going back to who's my musical inspirations, it's me, motherfucker. No, I'm joking. But no, like I really appreciate the honesty with that, and I'm glad that you did come to understand it and stuff like that. And you might hear one song and think, like, that one's not for me, but I've got a few different styles that fit different molds,
Yeah, because I think it was just, I just had to listen to it just more and more.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, not this one. And I'm like, damn it, I'm actually really vibing with this one.
I throw a lot of information at you, Yeah.
No, and that's the other thing as well, is like your subject matter, like the certain term that I said off podcast that we wouldn't say.
Yeah, no.
Like it's
big, bodacious, beautiful situations.
Yes, definitely. Like it's really not anything I'd expect to hear, because I don't hear it anywhere else.
Yeah, true.
Like the only person I could compare it to is like not just because you're white, but Lil Dicky as well.
Right, yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. Maybe like Lil Dicky, but a little bit more delinquent style, but like see, for me there's a few topics so Dirty Mike as a character has a few topics that he just is constantly harping on about. Tawa, being that skinny guy that likes bigger girls, and being like a proud soldier on the front line of the chubby chasers. Boxing, I love boxing. And just that New Zealand hoary sort of humour, that I grew up in Hawke's Bay, Hastings, had a very rough upbringing, and like I just use that in such a like funny way. Humour's my coping mechanism, and definitely. Yeah,
because like you don't really hear much. Well, I don't really hear much like people when they rap, and like what do you call it? It's like when they rap in their accent, because a lot of people rap in like in the like the American like the American way, but you rap in like the accent that you have.
Definitely, definitely. I'm very proud of it. I think New Zealand, I think it was voted world's sexiest accent, so I think our artists should definitely embrace that we have that. And sometimes it's probably not a sexy accent, it's probably quite a rough as guts one, but oftentimes I think what it is because a lot of the main influences with rap are the American figures that you see. So when you're trying to get into that rap persona and stuff, that sort of twang starts to come in, and it's the same now when you see people starting to want to do drill or grime, they're unintentionally slipping into a British accent. And no, I've always been very proud of the fact of like that I keep my Kiwi accent through it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. World's sexiest accent.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I hoon on your MIDI.
Oh god. Also, your, like you said before, like your samples on songs, like are very, I mean, you'd recognize them anywhere.
Yeah.
But do you produce your own music as well? Like,
No.
do you?
No, I buy beats. I pay people to make beats. I'm not a producer. I mix and master my own vocals. And I've just taught myself how to do that to an extent that's good enough for my ear. I've found a lot of the time that you can fuss a lot over the quality, and that can be a hurdle that stops you releasing. But then sometimes it's just about people understanding what's behind it. There might be a few pops and hisses and stuff in there, but like people get that it's... and it works really well for me as a dirty mic. Like it's kind of like on brand to have things not as clean cut as they are. But like, for example, I was for ages not releasing because I wanted to have like a professional quality music video. One day I just got over it and I filmed my Thomas the Tank Engine music video just on the front camera of my phone.
I actually love that video.
Yeah, and I used a car jack as the tripod. And it got views and stuff, so it's not a worry of like, oh no, he doesn't have 60 frames per second 4K. Like it's just like, as long as you're putting something out that's like, no.
It's one of those things again, like you honestly just got to do it yourself.
And for it's just to get something out there and let people know, because imagine if your job was to create music and you were actually like expected to make a deadline, and this was, because I do treat it like a job, and it was your income, but your boss goes, how come you haven't made a song in 3 years? And you go, I'm just waiting until I can line up the perfect producer quality, and be like, well, you're not doing your job, bro. You know, so sometimes it's just like, just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I do find that like nowadays there'll be some artists that won't release a lot of music. Like there was a time when maybe they just put out a bulk and then they kind of just maybe ghost for a little bit before they release something.
I've done it multiple times myself too. Like my unreleased folder has over 100 songs. I'm very like picky about what actually makes it out. But like I did a song New Phone and it did really well on YouTube and stuff, and then I didn't release again for 2 years, and it's like I could have kept that momentum going then. But things like what we're speaking about like, oh, but I want to make sure it's a better song than New Phone, I want to make sure it's a better music video, and then
yeah, definitely. So you're primarily do hip hop. Have you thought of like going into other genres? Because there was actually one song that I put on the Project K playlist that you were rapping on it, but the beat, it seemed more like a house beat.
Moonlight.
Yeah.
Is the song,
Yeah.
You can't feel right when the sun's out, right? Yeah. And thanks for putting that on that playlist as well. That was awesome, bro. But yeah, no, it's all around. Like we got house type bangers. I've did another one just the other day. I've got D&B songs. And I used to do cover songs and stuff too. Like I used to host karaoke nights for a job. But no, I definitely will find a way to use rap anyway. Even when I did karaoke nights, right? I'd do a song by UB40. And when there's the instrumental break, I'd bust into a verse. And make sure I find my way to weasel that in there, because that's what I love doing. To me, rapping feels like landing a combo. You're like hit after hit after hit.
I definitely see that as well when you're performing, and even in your videos, you're like throwing like a cheeky cheeky 1-2 combo.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we talked about this briefly the other week at Red Square, but the first time I heard of you, well, I'm pretty sure it was the first time I heard of you, was you uploaded a video at one of your Hybers jams, and you closed out your rap in Te Reo as well. Like, what made you want to do that? I mean, was it Māori Language Week?
It was, it was, and that actually was already written and stuff. It just happened to be, this next performance is on Māori Language Week, so why not? So I grew up in Hawke's Bay, and today is a lot more core in the curriculum in those ways, and the population of Māori is a lot higher in Hawke's Bay than what it was in, like, say, Tawa when I moved here, and it was actually very, very core, and the guy who raised me was a bit of a POS, was a bit of a piece of, and he didn't want me involved in any Te Reo or anything like that at school. And he used to try and tell my teachers, like, I don't want him learning any of that. That got to other students at school, and it made it look like I was some kind of racist and stuff. And so to prove them like that, I actually showed more interest than everyone else in this class and really, like, said I want to be part of them, took it on board. And, I just think, like, we're, like, Te Reo Māori, like, is such a cool, unique culture. We're the only country that has it. Like, we've got to keep it alive. We've got to, like, embrace it. We've got to, like, really just be like, yeah, that's us. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us unique. It's just so important to everything that New Zealand's about. And I just wanted to have that wow factor of, like, the last guy you'd expect, like, the whitest, like, my ethnicity's Greek, coming in and doing Te Reo, and I wrote that verse myself, and I made sure it rhymed real nice in Te Reo, and it made sense still.
Yeah.
And it's basically saying, the verse is ko mata e tia e tuakaha, awhiri mai e tuakaha, kere, te ere mai, kere mahau ki matara, ti matahi. And it's basically saying, like, we are strong together as one, we are invincible. If we move as a unit, we rise and we're giants, is basically what I'm saying in that verse there, yeah.
No, yeah, that's definitely, it was definitely really cool to see because, like you said, like you didn't really expect something like that.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good to, see you like embracing like a country's national language because it's like, it's an official language.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Te Reo, New Zealand Sign Language and English are the languages of this country.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Because I definitely understand. Like, it's definitely a language that I feel like everyone, at least in like at least growing up at school as well, is like learning it should definitely be like a mandatory kind of thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to like I say, it's a unique one-off culture and ethnicity that, like, if we don't keep it alive, the rest of the world ain't. So, like, what, do we just want to bury something like that? No,
Yeah.
Brilliant, yeah. I'm all for it.
Yeah, so before we hit play on the camera, you mentioned that you had like a spreadsheet of all of Wellington's, I'd say pretty much all of Wellington's like top artists.
Yeah, that's right. If I'm aware of them, they're on the spreadsheet. Actually, Dills did add a lot of names on it too that he collaborated with me on the spreadsheet and added names. Initially, the spreadsheet was for my High Vis Jams shows so that I could eventually showcase everyone on the Wellington scene on the same platform was the goal.
Yeah.
But I just realised there's a lot more uses to it than that anyway, for just keeping track of what was the last gig I had artists on, when was the last time they performed live somewhere else. And I mean, it's probably weird to Wellington artists, I do keep a spreadsheet of what everyone's up to. And that's just me being very familiar with the lane that I'm in. Yeah. And also it's just really useful for someone as a promoter to like, okay, I'm running a show, pull that up and be like, I'd like to have and see who's available. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely, because like, one of the reasons I decided to like start Project K and that is because I got to a point where I wanted to listen to more Wellington music.
Yeah.
And I honestly couldn't find anyone, but I was only able to because a couple of friends of mine do music, and they were able to put me on to more people, and then through people, you kind of just like find all those branches, and then you just eventually come across folks like yourself who knows everyone. Yeah. And it's like, and it just made me think, it's like these people are so talented, like there needs to be more attention brought to them.
Yeah, that's right. Like I hear and I'm a bit biased obviously, but I hear mainstream songs come out all the time, and I'm like, I could name 10 local artists that would slaughter this track with no budget, would make something better than this. Yeah. Just out there garage, and like honestly I believe that wholeheartedly. Like I just think that they just, a lot of them just haven't been noticed,
Yeah. So could you, if I told you to boil that list down to, let's say five people that you think are doing bits right now, but people maybe might not know.
Yeah, sure. People that are doing bits that people might not know locally. Definitely, there's a few that are really slept on that I think, for me, the underdogs are really ones that I do like to shed light on. There's a guy, Joshy E, that I've had on my last few shows. He's from up in Samson, Bulls sort of area. And he's been coming to Wellington to perform on my shows, and honestly, the guy's brain needs to be examined. Like, he is lyrically just layers and layers and layers. Comedy, whether it's serious, he knows exactly how to do it. He's a storyteller. And I think he's overlooked. There's another guy, Turner Nose, that used to run a lot of shows, 7-8 years ago up in Levin and stuff, and he went through some dark times, and he's recently stepping back into music, and he's jumping on a few of my lineups and stuff, and I would really rate him musically. Like, I listen to his songs on my drive to work. He's got a style that I can't do, because it's all like, woke up in this mind frame, like that real grungy sort of thing. There's other ones that are doing bits that people do know, but I'm going to still put them on the list. And that's Dills and the Vibe Lounge and One Roof, of what he's doing for people, bringing people into the scene, offering them a place to record at a real reasonable rate, if not, half the time it's just to help out. He's looking at running his own shows. He's got May the 12th running a show called Rags to Riches at the Red Square Bar, with Levan, ASAP Latui, Don Lucid, and I'm sorry if I'm missing anyone else, DJ Gouda and Rumble on the show, and Teasin, and he's definitely a staple in the scene, and I'm going to shout out my best mate, MJ Johnstone. Like, people just see him as my sort of, like, sidekick or, like, whatever. He's very, like, unnoticed, but, like, individually, like, the guy's amazing. Like, I wouldn't be, like, him releasing and me and him just matching each other's music and stuff is what keeps us both creating. We both wouldn't be doing it without each other. That's who I'd chuck on there. If that's 5, Joshy E, Turner Nose, Dills, MJ, and who's someone else doing bits in the scene at the moment? It would have to be probably Dan Insanity. Like, I don't know him too personally. We've never really worked together or anything like that, but he does put on a lot of big, large gigs with a lot of the alternative hip hop artists that I'm not familiar with yet. Yeah.
No, definitely.
We're live. Back to us in the studio, yeah.
Yep. Back to it. Sorry, camera.
No, that's good. Yeah, no, we just covered the 5 people that are moving mad. I could keep going, but that's definitely like some that I'd like to.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got a whole list of all these artists.
Yeah.
And you've got this giant spreadsheet with like tons and tons of people. What do you think is maybe not the biggest problem nowadays, but the biggest issue people face in terms of getting themselves out there and presenting like a face and a character? Because I feel like people, there are a lot of people with talent in Wellington. Like, I definitely see that.
Yeah.
But I think, like, marketing yourself as an artist as well is also very, very important.
Yeah, big time.
Unfortunately, because some people aren't as like out there, even though they sing or rap.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't market yourself,
then who's gonna know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like when I make websites, I can tell people you can have the most beautiful website in the world, but if no one's finding it and no one's seeing it, then it's not doing your business any just. I'd say the biggest hurdle for getting themselves out there is their own limitations, and what can happen if you've got a set expectation that's just very specific, you might miss other opportunities that are around it because you're looking for one thing.
Yeah.
There's a sort of, sometimes can be a clickiness in the scene that they only want to work with certain people, that they only want to work with their own boys, and that kind of eliminates opportunities. You know, you got to sometimes work with people you may not like or you may do like and stuff like that, just to put yourself forward and put yourself in those situations. Sometimes you might have to put yourself out there and perform for free, and it's just that's 30, 40 more people that have just now heard your music. And the money and stuff will come later, you know, if that's the difference between you getting on a lineup and getting in front of new faces. But yeah, I think it's about just being unapologetically you, and not trying to be what you think people want, just being unapologetically you. And the people that are out there that are like you as well, or connect with it, they will naturally find you. They will flock to you. I'd rather stay at the level I'm at as me than blow up as trying to be what I think the people want. You know, I'd rather just stay true to myself and have fun, and you know, not try and commercialize my product. If that means I just stay as a local Wellington rapper running local shows, cool. I'm happy as, you know, that's what keeps my mental good.
Yeah, definitely. Because do people people would see you know, yourself and this. Would you say it's a persona, or would you say it's just you?
It's a ramped up version of the real me. Nah, that's right. It's so much me that my middle name is legally Dirty Mike. I've had it changed.
Seriously?
Yeah. And I'm a manager at work. My employees call me Dirty Mike. I introduce myself to people, even if it's a new girlfriend, I'm meeting the family. I'm Dirty Mike. Hello. You know, and people that aren't going to like that, it's probably good because we're not wasting each other's time. You know, so yeah, it's good. I know it's definitely very much the real me. It's just I can set them free when it's stage time.
Yeah, definitely. You see that on stage. You really just have to, you know, just go for it and
I get myself into a mind state when I perform. I stomp the stage and I'm like, this is mine now. This is mine. Let me tell everyone why it's mine. Let me assault them with lyrics so that they know that, you know, this is my territory and I'm just here to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that when you were at Red Square. 'Cause that crowd, that was a pretty big crowd as well.
Yeah, no, that was good. And for an opener, you've got to be really happy with that. And I'm quite good for opening a show because I can just build immediate energy and hype and explode.
Yeah.
As long as you can keep the momentum of that going.
Yeah.
You know, but my part's done after that. But yeah, I always go into things with a chip on my shoulder and something to prove. It's why my hoodie said I'm not a real rapper that night and stuff. And it's I'm not a real rapper, but just hold up a second and watch me rap for a sec. Yeah.
And have you ever had people come up to you about that kind of stuff? You know, people who may have underestimated you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, all the time. Because there's this stigma not even a stigma, there's just this misunderstanding that I'm just specifically a comedian rapper. And I definitely make sure that my raps are lighthearted, positive and funny. In my own sort of hood rat sort of way. But yeah, I'm a rapper as well. I can flow, I can speed rap, I've got rhythm and stuff like that, and I will jump on an actual track and, you know, spit actual bars, but make you laugh at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, people have been like, oh, I got told it was just going to be this comedians, so I was just expecting you to get up there and do a bit of rap and tell a few jokes, but in reality they got their faces melted off. They've, you know.
It's honestly the best day when people don't really expect what your next move is, and it honestly feels like that when you're performing.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of shows, I understand you've got one coming up as well.
Sure, yeah. And I'm the type of guy that, like I said, I think activity across the whole scene is important. So there's a few shows I want to mention.
Yeah.
So April 22nd, High Vis Jams is running their launch party, which is Sian, Devon Welsh Music, a band called Rain, hosted by High Vis Jams, emceed by myself, Double G, and Joshy E. Also on April 22nd, out at Porirua at the Legend Sports Bar, there's a show called Run It Back, ran by Killer Flows. It's got DJ Soundwave involved and a lot of Porirua artists, which I think is absolutely epic. And then there's May 6th, which is my own show. Valhalla, May the 6th. It's called Uncle Dirty Mike's Sickening Showcase. It's a really stacked lineup of some of the most sick, and I'm really excited for a few that I've got on that lineup. And then May the 12th, Dills is running Rags to Riches at Red Square that I mentioned earlier. So May is shaping up to be a really big month for Wellington hip hop. So shout out to Trench Mob, One Roof, the Capity Sage Collective, Neighbourhood Collective, Skip the Boat, Insanity, and Urban Wolves, and any Hivers Jams and every other group that's participating in terms of creating activity in the scene. I just love to see it. Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
And yourself as well. Shout out to you. Shout out Keenan Project, putting rappers, giving them a platform to speak, not just rappers, promoters, artists, whatever you need, So awesome.
That's the plan, man. Appreciate it. So I know you just laid out a lot of shows for April and May, but what does the rest of 2023 look like for Uncle Mike?
Uncle Mike. So I just released my Heart of Glass song, which is not actually that new. It's just been in the vault. And I'm going to do some back-to-back releases. I've got a song called Gig After Gig coming out next week, which is about basically how I felt on stage up at the Red Square. About basically having something to prove in some ways and stuff like that. And I've got another song called D Michael coming out as well within the next 3 weeks. I really do, I think after May, and I've said this many times, so I'll probably get called on it, but I was planning on having a hiatus from live gigs to focus on music videos, skits, putting actual songs out and my own content. But I already know that I'm running another Hip Hop Friday with Hivers Jams at May 19th. And my 30th is at the end of this year. And I'm not a drinker, I'm not a party guy. So I thought it's more me to run it as a gig. So I'm thinking of making my 30th birthday a gig in December as well. So yeah.
Damn, that'd be awesome. Huh?
Yeah, hard out. It just makes more sense to me. Everyone's like, it's your 30, if you got a drink, you got to have a thing, but I'm not really a drinker. Like I smoke green all day and just chew back spliffs. That's how I stay productive. Does the opposite for most people.
Everybody got their own process.
That's
Everybody
right.
got their own process. And it wasn't planned at all, but I believe you have some music as well.
Yes, I would love to. I told you that I've got this D Michael song coming out, and I think you're going to crack up laughing, and I think it'd be really good for me to rap it on here if I can.
Okay, cool.
I've got it on this USB stick, the instrumental, but I will rap the lyrics. Okay.
Well, we're going to take a little break just while we set this up.
Sweet, we're back on. I am back with my handsome twin brother Keenan from Project. You can't tell which one's which. I'm the one with the beard. Alright, so we had some technical situations. I've got an exclusive track, a Project podcast exclusive called D Michael. I'm going to be rapping it exclusively. No one's heard this yet, and it's a bit of a Filthmaster 3000 job on it.
So Project K podcast exclusive. We got Dirty Mike on the mic with a new track.
Let's hit it. You can hear that? I jerked off in my car at the drive-thru down McDonald's. These McNuggets be sucking on my nuts like it's a throat lozenge. We're street prophets, we spit gospel you can get. God and my flows rotten, my words are toxic. I am D Michael. Got the funk still, don't forget who's Wellington's uncle. Lip lock, big lip, she had nice lips, get full throttle, get mad fucked. My notes app is dirty as a strip club, my flow state, I am the Rizzler, jokes dry like a nun's cunt. Banging rifles don't pop off as much as Michael, be that dirty or the Squeam Dog, for I'm only one disciple. Yeah, that means that it's all seeing, I still just remember that it's been this way since high school. In this game I'm 30 but worthy. These bitches some lames and turkeys. They all be gobbling on some nuts in the crowd like pedos perving. Dirty spit so rotten that it must be scurvy. And you get no hits and so we call that a perfect. I skip the boat with the infinite row. Ripping the stage, diminish the flow. I'm on the shows, nobody knows. The posters can't change, ridiculous bro. Pinocchio's nose, I'm famishing bones. I vanish and go, I'm spliffing at home. Relinquish the clinch, dip, hit a lick, split a lip and I'll shatter his nose. No cap, no bullshit, you ain't spitting any better, I'm too quick. She ain't getting anywhere to leak, snap like 2 toothpicks. We are ruthless troopers. It's a bit of like threads on a sweater. If it's yellow then it's cheddar and it's white then it's better. Anytime, any place, any weather. So you better try not getting clever. I jerked off in my car at the drive-thru down McDonald's. These McNuggets be sucking on my nuts like it's a throat lozenge. We're street prophets, we spit gospel you can get. God in my flows, a lot of my words are toxic. I jerked off in my car at the drive-thru down at McDonald's. These McNuggets be sucking on my nuts like it's a throat lozenge. We're street prophets, we spit gospel you can get. God in my flows, a lot of my words are toxic. I am D. Michael. That is us. You're laughing. Good.
Oh man, I can't get over those lyrics.
Yeah, it's definitely always some out the gate stuff, and I like to have a little bit of shock value with the humour. Like I say, the Kiwi, Aussie raunchiness of it, and it only takes us 2 minutes to murder an instrumental like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, I need to take a beat after that.
Yeah, well, I can see you next time, you know?
Yeah.
Down Johnsonville. Down the drive-thru, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I jerked off in my car at the drive-thru. Maybe not.
Heard it twice for myself. First time for you. Damn, man. So when's this gonna pop off?
Not next week, but the week after. I'm gonna do it with a little lyric video so you can read along and just make sure that you are hearing what you think you're hearing. That is the reality. I am your uncle, local filth master. But I am loving this podcast and have enjoyed my time. Are we still got content to mow through?
I think that's us.
Yeah.
That's us for today, man. I just want to thank you for coming through.
Oh, bro, I appreciate it. This has been an absolute pleasure. I recommend it to anyone that's keen to jump on board, and it's such a cool opportunity to sort of talk to a wider forum about what's going on in the Wellington scene. Like I say, shout outs to everyone making mad movements. Keep your eyes posted this month. April 22nd, High Vis Jams launch party. April 22nd, if you're up Porirua ways, the Run It Back at the Legends Bar with Killer Flows. May 6th, Uncle Dirty Mike's Sickening Showcase. Massive lineup, disgusting talent. And then May the 12th, Red Square, Dills is running the Rags to Riches show. So stay tuned, keep on board, and subscribe and follow to the Project Podcast. And let's just make today a good one, team. Turn your weaknesses into uniquenesses and embrace it.
You heard it here first from the uncle himself, Dirty Mike, for episode 2 of the Project K podcast. Thank you so much for being on. We got a whole lot of other artists coming in the next couple months. Stay tuned.